Let's talk about those little dogs that are just so cute and yet full of behavior problems. This is Eric with Premier Pack Dog Training, another edition of Devine Talks Dogs. You can picture one of those dogs right now, can't you? One of those really cute little dogs, and yet it will bark all the time. It might be aggressive, even biting. It might be fearful of everything. How do those dogs get to be the way they are? Let's talk about that so you can avoid it, okay? First thing I want to address is genetics. We have to look at the breeding. Too many breeders are breeding for cute, the looks and tiny, right? That's what they're breeding for. They're not breeding for temperament. So when a cute little dog with a bad temperament gets bred to another, that cycle perpetuates. So first thing we have to do is look at good breeding that has taken temperament into consideration. Then we want to look at, among those puppies in that litter, which ones display out of balance behavior. Are they too bold or are they too fearful? We want somewhere in between typically. So understand that genetics are a part of it. Now, beyond that, you have a dog, a puppy, the genetics are done. It is what it is. We can make the most of it though, okay? And what I find is often owners are really the ones responsible for how the dog turns out, and overall. Now, what happens when people get a cute little dog? Well, they want to spoil it. Okay, and when you think about the word spoil, that means it's gone bad, right? People say, "Oh, I spoil that dog." Well, you're making it go bad. So think about what it is to spoil a dog. It's coddling, it's catering to it constantly, it's excusing its behavior, it's rewarding for everything and nothing. So we want to be careful of that behavior, okay? Now, when you have a small dog, a tiny dog, one of the big problems is in the owner's eyes, they are perpetual babies. They never grow. They could be, an older, more middle-aged, full of grown man or woman, so to speak, dog, and yet it's being treated as if it's a baby still being referred to as my baby. It's not a baby. It's an adult, okay? Even though it's tiny, it's cute. You have a fully mature dog. But if you perpetuate this feeling of it being a baby, you're not preparing it to be a well-mannered adult dog. Now, when we say treating it like a baby, well, think about a baby. Babies are helpless. Babies are not responsible for their actions. They need constant attention. They, aren't demanded any behavior and they aren't held accountable for any behavior. So that's babying, right? And with little dogs, that can often be the case. People will want to shelter their little dog, even if it's an adult. Any kind of stress or anything that makes it uncomfortable, it's come on up here. You don't have to face it. You don't have to learn from any stress in your life. And they never grow, so they only learn to shy away, retreat in fear, or they have to use some aggression to deal with it because they haven't been shown how to deal with it before. So the other thing with little dogs is they are given excuses for their behavior because they're harmless, right? But they're not harmless. They do bite. Yeah, it's not gonna, kill you or something like that or maul you, but they should not be biting. Your dog, even if it's tiny, should not be biting people. It'll get you in trouble, And I want you to think beyond that too. Think about it from the dog's perspective. Do you want this dog to be in a state of defensiveness or even offensiveness to the point it feels it needs to bite? It needs to be barking all the time? You may excuse the behavior, but is that good for the dog, right? The dog is in a state of mind that is causing it to bark incessantly, is causing it to even try to bite or snap at people. That's not a calm, content dog. That's not a good mindset for anybody. When you excuse it with your dog, you are allowing your dog to live in an unhealthy mindset. So think about that. We need to hold our dogs responsible for their actions when it's appropriate and when they're old enough, of course, but they do need to learn how to behave. I recently had a small dog a puppy even, that learned how to walk on a leash. It learned how to walk next to me without leash pressure. And I think that's important because with small dogs, most of the time, they can't pull that hard, so owners just let them pull them around. And that's not a good state of mind for the dog either, just trying to get ahead constantly and totally ignoring the one up the leash, or the owner. We want the dog to still understand you need to follow me and we can walk calmly together. And what a much nicer relationship that's going to be, and what a much nicer experience it's going to be walking your dog with that in mind. So keep those things in mind. We want to start off with getting good, responsible breeding in the first place, picking a good particular individual out of the litter, okay? Then we want to keep in mind that your little dog grows up. It's not a perpetual baby. I like to equate the age and maturity of a dog to give it like a month a year. So you have like a 3-month-old dog, it's like a 3-year-old kid. You have a 5-month-old dog, it's like a 5-year-old kid that's ready for school. Okay? When you're getting into a year or two, now you're at like 10, 20 years old. So are you still thinking, oh, it's just a puppy, it's just a puppy, it's just a puppy? And letting that bad behavior be instilled in its personality. So keep that in mind. Remember the maturity level and act accordingly. Let your dog experience some stress so they can learn how to deal with it. Don't always coddle them and retreat. Okay, let them deal with it sometimes. We all have to. Think about your daily life. We all have to deal with some stress, right? So let them deal with some stress, show them the way, give them training so we can give them communication and direction in those stressful circumstances. All right. And then hold them accountable. One of the best things I can say is treat your small dog as if it were a big dog. Because, some of that behavior wouldn't be tolerated at all with a bigger dog. Why is it tolerated with your little dog? So give those things some thought, and you'll be raising a well-behaved, well-mannered little dog that everybody loves to be around. All right, this is Eric with Premier Pack. I'll talk to you later.